Welcome back to Sports Tuesday. I am your host, Steve Manderson. As I said in the beginning of the show, this is a very special show in regards to some very serious issues, and it also involves sports, but I am so glad to present this to you. As far as the ladies go, please, I hope when you're listening, please pay attention. This is very serious. My guest tonight, one of them, she's been here before. She's a professional ladies golfer, one of the greats. She has a book out called Champions of Life, and her name is Avis Brown Riley. The other guest tonight is the CEO and president of an organization that we're also going to talk about tonight, in which what Avis is doing and what this lady is doing is coinciding. And the organization is called Forgotten Children Incorporated, and very serious, people. So those that are listening, please pay attention. For those who have families with children, please pay attention. Let me bring on right now Avis Brown Riley and the president and CEO of Forgotten Children Incorporated, Tera Hilliard. Ladies, how are you?
Great. Thank you, Steve.
Well, I
Doing
think
wonderful, Steve. Thank you
good.
so much for having us on your show this evening.
Well, listen, I thank you very much. As I said, the subject matter is very serious, and when I did my research, I was like, "Oh my God." Okay. The way I'll start this off, well, let me start off with you, Avis, in what you're doing. First of all, how's your book going?
The book is doing extremely well around the country. The book is called Building of a Champion, How I Became a Champion in Life, the Avis
Mhm.
Brown Riley story. So we're real excited to share greatness in history with the world, Steve.
Excellent, excellent. From when I had you on back in February, the book was pretty much just coming out, and I am so glad that it's still going strong. Now, you right now, the things that you're doing, the collaboration that you're doing with Tara, this the golf extravaganza. Um, Tell us what's going. You got things going on right now, which in October. Tell us about that.
Yes, in October, I am scheduled to complete my final completion of the LPGA TCP, which is your Tournament Club Professional
Hmm.
Class A. And that's going to be held in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I'm real excited to participate in that class. So once I complete that class, I will be then Class A, which is quite an accomplishment for myself. And I'm very, very excited.
Great, great. Now, I know for those that didn't check out the show in February, one of the great things about you and what's going on with you, you beat cancer. And tell us about that as far as what you went through.
Yes, 2000, January 2010, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I was diagnosed with invasive ductal carcinoma, which is the worst type of cancer that is known to womankind. I went in on January 2010 for my mammogram, and I received notification that everything was normal, but we found out a few weeks later that it was not normal. And so I went back for another test, and they stated that everything was normal. So in actuality, it was not normal. So May of 2010, I detected it myself. By that time, Steve, I was now stage 4 cancer. And so we had to move quickly because stage 4 is nothing to play around with. And so I was introduced to the best doctors in La Jolla, California. And my primary care physician, Dr. Patricia Pissinger, she made sure that I was dialed in with all my appointments, and we were making sure that I was going to be treated with the best of the best in La Jolla. And so they definitely did take very good care of me through scripts here in San Diego. So I was in bed for 6 to 8 months, and I knew that I was going to battle the cancer. There was no doubt in my mind. It was quite challenging for me at first. You know, the chemo was extremely strong. In order to save my life, I was treated by the maximum potency of chemo. And so after 3 weeks, of course, we had to take a break because the body could only sustain so much of the chemo. But I can share with you that I'm here today to share my story of how I am what you call a miracle, to be able to still be alive after being faced with that deadly disease called cancer.
Oh man, and God bless, you know, and that's pretty much for those that want to get her first book. That is a lot of it is in that story, and you know, God is good. God is good, and it's all about believing in yourself and your life and everything like that. I wanted the people to understand that, and you know, for those that may go through the same situation, they need to know that, and that's the reason why I brought that up. And hope you know, is you have that will to survive, and that is one of the things I loved about you when you first came on, and to hear your story. Now, you're doing some things here. You got a lot of things going on. uh you've done some things over this since the last when you first came on. Now, you explain to me the you did a book signing campaign, but explain to me the Grandmaster Hip Hop Williams Classic Golf Tournament. Are you into hip hop or what?
Well, I have 2 young adults, and they listen to hip hop. So, you know, I do listen to it because we're in the car. You know, my Diana Ross and the Temptations is a little too, you know, out of reach for them. But you know, I love the OJs, and Patti
Right.
LaBelle is my favorite singer. So, you know, every now and then, you know, I don't have a choice but 2 young adults to listen to hip hop. So I received the invite to participate in a wonderful golf tournament in LA, and it was
Mhm.
with the Grandmaster Hip Hop Lonzo Williams. It was the classic golf tournament, and it was absolutely wonderful. I was their guest speaker, and I didn't get a chance to play, but it was a wonderful opportunity to share my story with the group of folks that attended the event. So yes, it was absolutely wonderful, and I'm looking forward to doing more things with Lonzo Williams in LA in the near future. We have some really good things coming down the pipeline as well.
Now, demographically, um, we're looking at what a real younger, what demographically, like let's say 15 to 30 or something like that, that was there. You, I hope you weren't one of the oldest people there.
You're right, Steve. I wasn't one of the oldest folks at that event. You're absolutely right. It was a great age range. And so, you know, again, this cancer, I'm telling you, folks, yes, I was exposed to that chemo, but I'm telling you, it must have reversed my age pattern because, you know, You know, when you look at me, you're like, no way, she is not, you know, in her 50s. And I'm like, yes, I am. No, I'm not 35. So, yes, it was a great group of folks there, and we really had a great time.
Any known hip hop artists were there? Was like say Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Ice Cube. Were any of them there or?
No, they were not there. From what I understand, talking to Lonzo, who is a wonderful person, by the way, and he too was diagnosed with cancer. And
Wow.
so we had a great, yes, absolutely, prostate cancer to be exact. And we sat down for about approximately 2 hours exchanging our challenge with the cancer. And so, from what I understand, the hip hop artists had previous arrangements, so they did not appear. But we're getting ready to do something phenomenal with the kids. Alonzo and I talked about it, and what we would like to do is have a hip hop celebrity golf tournament for kids in Los Angeles. So we're looking forward to that, along with some other projects.
That's awesome. Now you also, in terms of your charity events, you did something with involving the WNBA, the LA Sparks. What is it? The All for Her event. What was that like? And I'm sure that Lisa Leslie was there.
Yes, that was a wonderful event. Loretta, who is the sales rep for the WNBA, contacted me and said, Miss Davis, we'd love for you to partner with the WNBA and be a part of one of the fabulous basketball events. And so what happened was we arrived, and when I arrived, I couldn't believe that my booth was the first booth that you would see when you walked into the Staples Center. So if I'm not mistaken, there was approximately 19,670 participants that arrived to that event that day. So
Really?
you can imagine how many people walked past my booth. So I was ecstatic to have my Davis Brown Riley Golf Extravaganza booth right in the front foyer of the Staples Center. So it was absolutely beautiful. And the All for Her event was, it was breathtaking just to sit and listen to the women talk about how they have been and still are successful with their businesses throughout the country. So that was a joy just to be in that private luncheon as well, meeting the president and the VP of the WNBA. And I'm telling you, they were absolutely wonderful just to be able to have a conversation, to talk about sports, what's coming down the pipeline, what we can do to encourage young women to play a wonderful sport called basketball. And, you know, just wanting to get out there and support the WNBA like we support the NBA.
Yes, yes. And I had my last show. I had a NBA analyst on. We talked about the WNBA because Tina Thompson was inducted into the NBA Hall of Fame, and Lisa Leslie was also she's also a Hall of Famer, and the fact that the league is still in existence after over 20 years is amazing. And when I saw this, I said, yeah, Lisa Leslie. I mean, she's got so many things going on. She was a tremendous player, and it was great that you got to know her, and that was great. Tell us about the young black in business.
Yes, the Young Black in Business is an organization here in San Diego,
Mm-hmm.
and the president and CEO is a young man by the name of Roosevelt Williams,
Mm-hmm.
and he is a protege of our junior golf program. So it's amazing that I ran into him a few months ago You don't know who I am, do you? I was like, your face looks familiar, but last time I saw him, it was like he was 17, 18, and now he's, in his early 30s, and he's like
Mhm.
6'2", and so he says, I'm Roosevelt. He said, I used to live in your parents' house every Saturday. You guys used to take me to the golf course. And he said to me, he said, Miss Avis, he said, that was the best thing that had ever happened to me, that the Brown family took me under their wings and helped him understand the values and the etiquette of golf. And by doing that, he really appreciated it, and it helped groom him into the young man that he is today. So Mr. Roosevelt Williams here in San Diego is a very, very popular young man, and he is on the move with Black in Business. So basically, they are collaborating with
Mhm.
a lot of different organizations and vendors here in San Diego. And
Mhm.
every week, there's an event that's going on. And so the entrepreneurs are there, and just social networking and getting to know how to run a business and interacting with each other. And so it's been wonderful. I've attended quite a few of his events, and I'm so glad that I'm able to support him in every way that I can
Oh,
to give back to the community.
that is great. Now you've been interviewed. There are articles about you. What I want to talk about is the articles based out of Africa, Uganda, and Kenya. Now, have you been there?
No, I haven't. We were scheduled to go to Uganda last summer, and unfortunately, ISIS was uh, not in good standing at that time. So, there was no way that we can travel to that part of the country and not have our lives be protected. So
Mhm.
we had to decline that. But we're looking forward to promoting the game of golf in Africa.
Mhm.
I conversed with quite a few golfers and head pros at numerous country clubs throughout Africa, and
Mhm.
so they were kind enough to share my story in both the True Golfers magazine
Mhm.
and the Kabul Sports, which is the largest magazine in Africa. So
Oh,
I'd like to just say a shout out to both David and Eric for being my number two supporters out of Africa.
okay. Well, let me ask you this: being a golfer, is the game of golf catching on in Africa? Is it popular there, or is this something new and different?
I can share with you, Steve, that golf is not new to the folks in Africa. Yes, they are and have been exposed to the game of golf for many, many, many years.
Mhm.
And so the problem that they're having is that the equipment is extremely expensive, and the kids do not have sponsors to play in most of the events. And so you'll see a lot of pictures of the kids on the golf course not wearing the proper golf shoes, and so, but they love the game. They're out there, they're having fun. And then you see another level of Africans that are uh, into it at 100%. They're traveling around the continent, they're playing in a lot of big uh, events, the Africa tour, and
Mhm.
they are really generating a lot of wonderful golfers, international players. So I'm looking forward to seeing one of the players on the PGA tour one day, because they are absolutely phenomenal. And I chat with them every other day,
Mhm.
so they're really excited about playing this wonderful game of golf.
Oh, that's great. That is great. Cause golf is uh, as you know, very not only major in the United States, but it's starting to get out there. It's getting well. It's been getting out there over across the world. Really, they've had like for the men's British Open and things like that. So it's great to see what's going on. So, like you said, eventually, you'll be able to get out there. And would you love to play out there in Africa?
Uh, Not play, but I would love to participate and support the numerous women golf organizations that I have been corresponding with. They're like, Miss
Hmm.
Avis, you have to come to Africa. You have to come. When are you coming? So they are looking for advice. They're looking for information that can take them to the next level. And so they're working with what they have, which is phenomenal, and
Hmm.
they are truly doing a fantastic job. I had the pleasure of talking with Deb Vangelo, who is our president of the LPGA TCP
Hmm.
organization, and we as LPGA members, we are targeting over 500,000 young girls around the country. That's our goal, is to expose the game of golf to young girls,
Hmm.
to that introduction, let them know that they too can play this wonderful game. So that's one of our missions. That's one of our goals from an LPGA member standpoint. So I'm excited to support that at 200%.
Excellent, excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at this point, at this time right now, I want to put my attention to Miss Hilliard and her organization, in which also, Avis, you are involved with as well. This is the Forgotten Children Incorporated. Um, First off, Tara, again, I thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank
What I want
you.
to ask you ladies, how did the two of you get together to form a partnership in regards to what you're doing now?
I believe it was a divine intervention. Avis mentioned that WNBA game and how her table was featured in the front as soon as you walk in. Well, we were attending the game with my daughter's dance company. And as soon as we walked in, my husband says, "Look at that. It's a black female golfer. Maybe you should get her information and contact her regarding your golf tournament."
Hmm.
And I was like, yeah, and I was super excited. Her table was beautiful. Her pictures, and I just got very excited because the purpose of our golf tournament, this is our third one, is to raise funds for us to continue operating all of our programs for victims of human trafficking.
Hmm.
And we many of our golfers are male, Caucasian, and so when I saw Avis's table, I just got super excited, and so didn't really know how to reach her. We just took kind of like a picture of her material, and then I went on LinkedIn and inboxed her and was super surprised when she responded, and I was like, "You actually responded." And that's rare for people to respond and then not have their assistant respond. And so I just knew then that she was special because it wasn't some third party person. It was the actual Avis Brown Riley responding to my LinkedIn message, and we just kind of started talking. And I shared with her about our organization, our golf tournament, and just her heart. You can hear her passion for the game of golf, but more importantly, her passion for the community and just being able to be a part of everything that's happening, that's building up of the community. And so she agreed to come on as our guest speaker. I'm super excited because I believe it takes our tournament to another level. It also
Hmm.
introduces us to another, I guess, a world of participants that we probably would not have access to if she was not one of our, special guests. And so I'm just grateful and thankful because I know nothing about golf. I don't know how to swing a ball, swing a club, don't know anything, but I know how to throw a good party. And so I said, Avis, listen, you help us to, lay it out 18 rounds of golf and how we going to make it happen. And I'll do the banquet components. And so we have a very good team of people that's working with us. And so I just believe it was divinely ordained for us to connect.
That is great. That is great. Uh, your organization, this is very serious stuff. When I did the research, I was like, wow. Now, the organization was established in 2006,
Yes.
and the things that go on, for those that may not know what certain terminology is, explain to everyone what human trafficking is.
Yes, the funniest thing is that unfortunately, and you just said it, most people don't know. Sometimes we see girls on the streets as prostitutes and little young teenage girls, and we shake our head or wag our finger at them as if she should know better. But what people don't understand is that human trafficking has become a $60 billion industry globally, and it's because of the commercial sale of women and children for sex, or you have labor, or you have debt bondage. And many people, so you remember the movie Taken.
Yes.
Everybody, thinks that Taken, it just happens in other countries, but we don't realize that here in the United States, that human trafficking is alive and well. In fact, the FBI has identified that San Francisco, San Diego, and Los Angeles has the highest human trafficking rates in the nation, and that women and children are trafficked at a high rate in these cities. And so the definition of human trafficking is that there must be force, fraud, or coercion. And so they're finding that many of the women that are on the streets that are prostitutes are not there because they want to be there. They're actually there and they're forced there, or they're coerced there. Many of the women are kidnapped, just like you see in the movie Taken, and they're put on streets within our immediate areas that we consider to be hot zones, and they're sold, and they have a daily quota of $500 to $1,000 per day to make. So drug dealers and gang members have gotten into this game, and they're flipping 14, 15-year-old girls every day with low risk. Because, selling drugs, it puts you at high risk for arrest and brings attention from law enforcement. But you put a girl on the corner who's 13, 14 years old with a quota of $1,000 per day, and most pimps or traffickers have between 5 to 7 girls working for them a day. So you imagine that he's making about $7,000 per day times 4 times 30 times 365 is what he's making off the backs of teenage girls every single day. And
Um,
so for us, our goal is to raise awareness in our communities. In fact, 52% of all human trafficking victims are African American girls. And so that's a
really?
problem
Wow.
when you consider, the girls in the percentage that we make up in terms of national statistics. So, for us, our goal is to raise awareness. It is to counter the ignorance that surrounds human trafficking with the fact that those girls want to do it and they're doing it because they want to, and that is not true. The girls tell us stories of going to school and meeting a guy and then forced into prostitution, taken from their family, isolated. Many of the girls that we see that come in for our services come from different states. In fact, we have an issue that's going on in Vegas right now where the girls are reporting that they're being brutalized and harmed in Vegas. So the pimps bring them down to LA to work. So he doesn't, stop them from working. He just, transports them to another state or another, place where they can, make money. And so, Steve, unfortunately, in our community, we are not aware of this growing problem because we think that it's happening in other countries, and that is not true at all.
Now, let me ask you this. You mentioned the fact that a lot of these women, a lot of these young girls are African American. Does when you first found out that statistic, were
Mm-hmm.
you very alarmed because you just told me this, and I'm like, really? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
is that very alarming to you? Why do you think that? Do you feel? Well, let me ask you this: do you
Mm-hmm.
feel that because they're African American, they're targeted the most?
No, and yes. The key indicators are most of the victims or most of the girls that become victims of human trafficking, they come from impoverished areas. They come from communities where, you know, you have high gang issues. There, many of them come out of the foster care system. Many of them come from single family homes. And what pimps do is that they prey on the vulnerability of these girls, okay? And so when you think about our communities, especially inner city communities, where you have a lot of negative and destructive activities that's going on, and if there's an absent father or absent mother, or if you have a girl that, you know, has underlying issues of trauma, it makes her a prime target and candidate to be trafficked. And so traffickers, pimps are looking for girls that have low self-esteem, that have, you know, no self-awareness of who they are. And so they make promises to them. You know, we use what's called the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And what Maslow says is that, you know, to reach ultimate fulfillment is that you have to have your basic fundamental needs met: love, safety, physiological needs, and all those things. Well, when you're a young girl and you're growing up in inner city community, and, you know, especially communities that's riddled with gangs and drug use, you have a tall, handsome guy coming up to you talking about all the great things he can do for you. It's going to intrigue you, right? And so you're thinking, finally, somebody to love me or to feed me or make me safe. Then she buys into his lies. But the problem is when you're 13 and 14 years old, you cannot decipher that this person is actually a predator. And so the reason why that number is higher in African American communities is because our communities, unfortunately, we have the highest number of foster care youth. We have the highest number of girls that are born to single family households. We have the highest number of incarcerated parents. And so with a father out of the home, you know, he's not teaching his daughter how to identify wolves in sheep's clothing. You know, all she knows or all she figures is that here's a guy that's going to, you know, give me everything I need. And so that's how she ends up falling prey to the hands of these traffickers. And so while yet it is alarming, but you know what, Steve, it's funny. We see it. It's hidden in plain sight every single day. I know here in Los Angeles, there's a street called Figueroa. And when you go down Figueroa, it is like Amsterdam, the Red Lamp District. I've seen it all my life, but I never put two and two together. We grew up with pimps. We watched Superfly. We watched all the shows from the 70s. Pimps were like, it was funny, haha. But pimps today are actually the ones that are making hundreds and thousands of dollars on the backs of these girls. They're tortured when they try to leave, often killed if they try to leave. They're branded like cattle. The girls, we have a safe house in San Bernardino, and so many of the girls that reside in our safe house show us the scars and the wounds that they've received for not making their nightly or daily quota of $500 to $1,000 a night. And so human trafficking is a very real problem in our community, and as the demand continues, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse.
Let me ask you about the runaways. And doing the research, the question I wanted to ask you about the runaways is, do you feel one of the major reasons why young girls run away may be because of, let's say, the stepfathers in their lives? Do you think that plays into the reason why they want to leave?
That's one of the many reasons. You have to understand that when you have a child that is brought up in a kind, caring home that's full of structure and discipline, they're not running away. Yeah, they get agitated and upset with parents and their rules, and they think that we don't know anything, but they're not running away for the most part. The girls that are running away are girls that unfortunately have been victimized through incest, molestation, and not just through a stepfather. It could be through an uncle. It could be from the mother. It could be that she is tired of living with a mother. We have girls whose mothers sold them to drug dealers for sex, you know, or they're trying to run away from situations within their communities or neighborhoods. So run away from the stepfather or you know, that type of situation is just one aspect, but you know, many of the runaways, they're running away from abuse. They're running away from being raped or being neglected. They're running away trying to find a better place for themselves. And unfortunately, they'll often end up in the hands of a trafficker or someone that is abusing them. And like I said, when you don't have anybody that's fighting for you or teaching you how to identify a wolf in sheep's clothing. You're 14, and next
Mhm.
thing you know, you on the streets. And the average length of time a girl is on the streets where she is used as a prostitute is about 7 years before she taps out. Either she
Mhm.
becomes addicted to drugs, she's
Mhm.
murdered, and or she is just washed out and forgotten about by society.
Mm. Now, as I said, the organization was established in 2006.
Mhm.
Let's going back to that time. The reason did um you personally did you know people that went through this these situations that gave you the inspiration to put this together along with the founder of this organization?
Steve, what's funny? Remember, I said that we've all encountered it. We just didn't know what it was. I grew up in South Los Angeles that has a high rate of prostitution and gang violence. I
Mhm.
saw it every day. But when you see something every day, it just kind of becomes, it's just everyday activity. And it
Right.
wasn't until I started, doing research and learning about this situation that
Mhm.
I began to think, oh my goodness, I remember so and so who was a prostitute and had a pimp, and we just thought it was okay. I remember so and so, the girl that went to junior high with me, and her pimp would drop her off to school. I went to junior high school with a pimp whose father taught him the game, and would pick him up with girls in the car every single day. And so it wasn't until as I've gotten older and began to do my research and I connected with Pastor Paula Daniels to understand that this is more than just some girl deciding to sell her body on the street and she's just too dumb to get away from a pimp. These
Mhm.
pimps are using master manipulation to keep these girls in bondage. We have families that call us and say, if you see my daughter on the street, tell her we want her back. She was taken from school. She met a guy online and we can't find her. We had a girl that was from Oklahoma that met a
Mhm.
guy online. She thought she was in a relationship. He promised to send her to art school. She got here from Oklahoma. She got off the Greyhound bus. He beat her and put her on the streets. She was too ashamed to call her family. We ended up getting her, and she stayed in our safe house for about 6 months. And then
Mhm.
we were able to contact her family. So many of the girls meet guys offline. They're thinking that they're meeting Prince Charming, and he's not. They're buying to this fairy tale. And so, our goal is to rescue, restore, and empower women, to understand that they are victims and that they are, and that, God has given them a plan. God has a plan for them. And so we help to rehabilitate their mindset. We help them to reclaim their lives. The pimps, they change their names. They take
Mhm.
their identity. The girls come to us, they have no identity. And they'll tell you, my name is Starburst or Skittles. And because he's changed their name. And when you change someone's name, what does it do? It wipes out identity. Doesn't that remind you of slavery? So human
Yeah, but don't
trafficking is
they have
modern day slavery.
yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
understand what you're saying there, but don't they have social security numbers and stuff like that? I mean, would they take away everything?
They take everything. When you are a child, or let's say you're 15, 16, 17 years old, and you come and you have your ID, social security card, and all that, he confiscates all of that because he doesn't want you to have your identity so he can control you. He controls every single thing about these girls, everything down to what she wears. The money she makes every day. People say, well, she has money. She has to turn over every dime and dollar she makes, and if she doesn't, she's often beaten or she's tortured. So when she talks about she wants her ID or she wants her social security card so she can go out and get a life, you think he's going to give those things over to her? Absolutely not. No. Mm-mm. So we help to reclaim their lives. We, once they come into our programs, we
Mhm.
help them to apply for those things and help her just to understand. She's been dehumanized for so long that
Mhm.
when they come to us, we have to literally. It's like building up a damaged flower from just just the basic stem, pretty
Now,
much.
that's great. Now the thing is too, for what you're telling me, um, when obviously you reach out to the families,
Hmm.
what are the initial responses when you let them know what you're trying to do? Are they very responsive? Do they rebel? Do they care anymore? What are their initial reactions?
We've had a little bit of all that you just named. The young lady I mentioned from Oklahoma,
Hmm.
her family had been looking for her, but she was too ashamed to tell them that she got caught up in some game. But when we called her mom, they were so excited. We had another young lady that was actually brought to us by her family from Florida. She had been trafficked out of the back of a SUV by this guy, and her family, when they found her, they got her away from him, but got her out of the state, and they brought her to us. And then we've had situations where we've contacted the family, and they felt like that she wanted to be out there. We don't want to be bothered with her, and so whatever you do with her is fine with us. Um,
Really?
so
Wow.
so we've had a little bit of of all those responses. But I can tell you this one thing, Steve. I can tell
Hmm.
you that every girl that comes, we have a resource and drop-in center in the city of Linwood where girls can come in. They
Hmm.
receive case management. They can
Hmm.
receive immediate resources. And then we have a house in San Bernardino where we can house them up for up to 2 years. And all the girls that come, whether at drop-in center or at our house, they all say the same thing, that they have never been in a program where they feel loved and they feel like people care. And there was no strings attached. Like, we don't have quotas. We're not funded, which is why we have this golf tournament. All of our funds we have for the organization, we raise 100% of every dollar. And so it's to be able to provide the type of services that we don't have to have jump through, hoops and things like that. And so we're able to provide a comprehensive, holistic approach to the girls that we service. And we just let them know that there are people who care. We don't put a time limit on when she can come to our drop-in center. She can come as often as she wants. If she
Hmm.
leaves our house for whatever reason, as long as she leaves in good standing, she can come back to our house. But we are here 24 hours a day for the most part to help these young women get off the streets and find help, to live productive lives.
That is interesting. Tell me about the road to freedom. Now, these are dealing with women that have been incarcerated,
Yeah.
and then when they get out, um, what is that experience like dealing with? Well, I might as well call them ex-cons.
Hmm.
Um, what is their initial reaction to you in the organization when they realize you're trying to help them? Do they really want the help, or at that point, depending on the amount of their sentence, do they really care anymore?
Oh man, of all our programs that we have, I think the Road to Freedom is the one that touches my heart the most, because we're dealing with women that have come out of backgrounds. Many of them tell us, they've grown up in households where there was drug addiction, gang activity. Some of the girls have told us that mothers sold them to pimps when they were little girls. And so, for the most part, many of them, from the moment that they were able to even say their name, was caught up in a world of criminal activity. And so we teach an 8-week curriculum called Debunking the Fairy Tale. And the goal of that curriculum is to identify those key factors and indicators that got them caught up into a world of, criminal activity. And I'm telling you, we've heard some stories. And so we have girls that are in our class that are not just victims of trafficking, but are in there for murder. We have one girl that was facing a life sentence. We've had
Wow.
girls that are in there for, and you have grandmothers. The women are all ages, so we
Grandmothers,
don't
are
just
you
get.
serious?
Oh, yes, you have grandmothers that are in there. You have women.
Lord
I mean, you
Jesus.
name it. We are coming in contact with every type of woman. But the beauty of it is that while we're teaching this class and we are, dismantling behaviors, and we are discussing mind frames and different things, you can see those that aha moment. Many of the women have issues of addiction, and the addiction is as a result of layered trauma and abuse that they've experienced over time. And so, women that have issues of trauma, and they go to mask the trauma, so they get involved in drugs or alcohol, or they end up becoming domestic violence victims. And so when we're teaching these classes for those that are getting out immediately, we offer case management and resources support. For those who have a little stretch of time, we let them know, listen, when you're ready, call us, contact us. Our class is one of the most requested classes in the jails, which is, very interesting. And so there's over 2,500 inmates in the jail that we go into, and they're all women. And so these women, they give birth in jail, and the
Whoa.
babies are then taken and put into foster care or given to a family member. And so it really breaks your heart to hear and to know these stories, but they are very receptive. But you know what, Steve, when you treat a woman with dignity and respect and you let her know that she is loved, we don't have to know your name, but there are people who are here to support you. It breaks down defensiveness. It breaks down, their thought that, you're just trying to get something from me, but you don't really care. When we show them how much we care and we come in and we let them know we're not here, you're not a statistic, we don't have to meet a quota, we have a very good reception from those ladies.
Well, I'll tell you, you mentioned grandmothers. I'm like, with the ages that they are, do they
Mm.
really care about their lives anymore?
In fact, the funniest thing is they care more because now she's looking back on her life and she's thinking, man, I've spent 30, 40 years addicted to crack cocaine or drugs, and I've had children, I have grandchildren, and many of the women, the grandmothers are now in jail with their daughters, right? And so
Oh
she's
my God.
understanding that my daughter is in here because I was not there for her, okay? And so,
Mhm.
yeah, they care. Absolutely, they care. And, they're looking for just some sort of path, to have so when they get out or, to kind of reclaim their lives. And so it is very heartbreaking. I can tell you that it is heartbreaking, but it's also it's the beauty, which is why we're having this golf tournament, because the funds raised, again, I said, it helps us to support our programs. We're one of the very few, we're a faith-based organization, and so we're one of the very few that
Mhm.
raises their support so that we can continue providing these life-changing resources.
Now, basically, a lot of what you're doing is in the California area. Are you guys branching out the other parts of the country? Because
Are you trying to get me to come to your state, Steve?
listen, not only my state, New York's got a lot of what's going on there, but there's not just the East Coast, but
Yeah,
basically the issues are all over the country. Are you
yeah.
looking to expand across the country?
Absolutely. The beauty of our programs is that we take women from all over the state. We've worked with law enforcement from Hawaii, where we were able to transport a girl whose pimp had broke her collarbone and she was on the run, and they wanted to get her out of the state. We work with organizations all over the United States that's
Hmm.
looking to get the girls out of the states. We work with extraction teams from various states that's looking for shelter for the girls. We work with Homeland Security when they're hosting international human trafficking victims that have to be in the United States just to testify. Our goal is to be wherever human trafficking is to have a
Hmm.
team deployed there that can offer the same type of services that we provide here. And so I believe, in the next couple of years, we just did an expansion plan with our board to expand our housing and to expand our services to other states. The challenge that we have, it takes money to do that. And
Yes.
so, we want to be in those states, but we have to raise the support that we need in order to be able to do that, because we'd have to hire staff and, get the teams
Hmm.
in those states to be able to do these services. But to answer to your question, absolutely. And I'm going to tell you this one thing, you know, I know it's a problem all around. It's a global issue. And so you have in countries where it's just, it will break your heart. But I feel like we're called to stay here in the States domestically, because
Hmm.
here in the United States, you have the same problem that's happening over in Thailand, but we turn the eye. It's not as appealing to save a girl out of New York as it is to save a girl in Thailand that's sleeping on, a little mattress and she's 5 years old. But I can tell you the same thing that's happening in Thailand is happening here, and we have to be just as diligent to help our folks here. So I want to help the women of the United States and then branch off into other countries. You have a lot of human trafficking organizations in other countries,
Hmm.
but very few that are focused on our problem and situation. It's almost like take care of what's happening in your own house before you start trying to go to somebody else's house. And so, we want to do that. And so, but for now, the way
Hmm.
that we can help is that we allow organizations to contact us, send us the girls if we have bed space. If not, we work with national organizations to try to get the housing and resources that the young ladies need.
Oh, okay. Avis, let me get you back into this. Um, when you first met Tara and she told you about the organization, was did was there any particular experience that you had or you knew someone that was going through this, which made you really want to connect with Tara in what she's doing?
No, I have not been exposed or not familiar with anyone that had that experience. But when I first met Miss Tara, her spirit is pure, and I love her energy. And so when I embraced her for the first time, I'm saying to myself, "Oh my goodness, this woman is powerful." And she said, "Are you Avis?" I said, "Yes, I am." And where we met was I was invited to Changing Hearts Ministry worldwide, and they were presenting the first annual Young Women's Conference here in San Diego, hosted by Pastor Robin Crone. And I said, "You know what, Robin?" I said, "We need to get Miss Tara down here to San Diego." I said, "We have a problem in Chula Vista, California, because we're really close to the Tijuana border." And so she said, "Avis, that's a great idea." She said, "I'm familiar with human trafficking, and San Diego is definitely a problem." So when we reached out to Miss Tara, she was ecstatic. She says, "Avis, I'm there." And she showed up, and I'm telling you, it was absolutely beautiful. And Miss Tara can attest to this. Her and I were both on the panel. I was guest speaker. And just to sit and listen to the young ladies address themselves and the questions that they had for us. We were on the panel, and we started looking at each other. We're like, "Wow, that's a very good question." And so there, and you can charm in on this too, Ms. Tara, because I know the experience that I had was so breathtaking. It was almost like, Steve, you had to be there to get the full feeling of the love and the support that Pastor Robin and her staff had presented. That it was a 2-day conference, so it was just absolutely beautiful. But when getting back to your question, when I first met Miss Tara, I said, "You know, this is a person that I would love to have partnership with." You know, and she educated me to the next level pertaining to human trafficking. And just so happened, the next day, my daughter called and said, "Mom," she said, "I just got propositioned by this gentleman. He came into our store, and he said, 'Wow, you're just so beautiful. You know, we have a package for you. We would love for you to come over to Mexico to do some modeling for us.'" Well, hello, that was the red light bulb, because I just had the conversation with Miss Tara the day before, in which I shared it with my daughter Ayana. So talk about perfect timing to educate my own daughter about what's really going on and what to look out for. So they called the cops immediately, and of course, you know, when the cops arrived, he had fled. But again, just having that conversation with her, it almost made me feel like I saved her life, because we know that she had no intentions on packing up and jumping in the car with the gentleman, but just being aware, the awareness. And so we talked about it at the Young Women's Conference. Ms. Tara was, you know, oh my, her points were so sharp, and I was so impressed with her answers, and she just nailed it. And on the other hand, you know, I'm talking about self-esteem, self-confidence. You too can be a champion in life. Don't you ever give up. And what we were finding out is that the young women at the conference were having problems with their mother. Would you agree, Ms. Tara?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're looking for love from their mom. Majority of them feels is that they can't sit down and have a conversation with their mom. The mom is always busy. The mom is not listening to them. Oh, let's talk about this another time. And so you want to chime in on that, Ms. Tera?
Yeah, and that's going back to your point, Steve, about these young ladies. You know, when you have relationship issues with your parents, it leaves you vulnerable to fall into the hands of, you know, of traffickers. And so, Avis gave an example about her daughter. Now, her daughter was able to, you know, identify and run away. But for that girl who doesn't have an Avis or as a mom talking to her, you know, when he says, I can make you a model, do you want a model? She's thinking, wow, yes, of course, absolutely. Why? Because it's glamour, and he's telling me I'm pretty, you know. And so one of our goals is to make sure that we raise awareness, you know, in our community, so that more young ladies like Avis's daughter, you know, can identify when she's becoming a potential victim of human trafficking. And so at this conference, you know, you had questions by these girls that were raised, you know, well, how do you handle this and how do you do that? And you're looking and they're beautiful and they're intelligent and they're asking questions and we're thinking like, you know, who's teaching you? And so we even had a moment where they were able to come up and speak to us and get mentorship and sign up to be mentored, because they have no women speaking into their lives that can help them navigate, you know, just the rough terrains of life, you know. And so when you don't have anybody helping you navigate, then what do? You end up on the wrong turn. And oftentimes, as for women, you end up in the hands of a man that's going to destroy, that has the potential to destroy your life.
So true.
Yes.
So true.
Absolutely. Yes.
Now,
On the other hand, Stephen, you know, we always love to talk about young women, but the other hand, here in San Diego, there's a program called the Blue Heart Foundation, and the executive director and founder name is Tracy Morris.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to being his guest speaker this Saturday at UCSD, and the topic is going to be on making the right decisions. Now, Tracy Morris is doing a wonderful job here in San Diego with young men. He's grooming them for the future. Right. And so for all the listeners who are interested in being a part of this, it's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I'm telling you, Steve, he's got these young men dressed up in ties, and they're going to all the events in San Diego. And just a little shout out to Tracy Morris. His website is theblueheartfoundation.org /about-us/. And you can contact him at theblueheartfoundation@gmail.com. But I'm so impressed with what we're doing here in California with our young women, but I like to always make sure we recognize what we're doing for our young men as well.
Absolutely.
And then I was honored today. I attended the celebration at Southwestern Community College, where I just recently accepted a board member position. And just to have the kids come up to get a piece of cake and apple cider and have a conversation, they need that. They need people that are open and available to direct them, to give them that coaching, to give them that training. You know, again, I mentioned, I think on the last show where I was in Houston at the juvenile justice system, and a lot of the girls, you know, they were actually touching my skin. They were like, "Are you real? Are you real?"
Wow.
You know?
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
and I'm like, absolutely, I'm real. I wear a lot of hats, you know, as a manager for a Fortune 500 company, a mother, you know, professional golfer, mentor, coach. I mean, you name it. But just to give back to the community and help develop the young men and women. And hats off to Ms. Tera with human trafficking. You know, hats off to everyone that is out there that is making a difference in this world. You know, you've heard the saying, it takes, you know, a village to raise a child, and it sure does. It sure takes a village to raise a child. You know, especially with a lot of the parents working 2 and 3 jobs nowadays, and you know, kids are left at home, and it's that instant gratification. You know, and the millennium kids are very, very sharp. I mean, they are just as sharp as a pin. You know, they're looking for that. They're looking for that attention. They're looking for that love, and you know, to build the self-esteem and the self-confidence and looking for. And we as adults are in a position to give that to them, but it starts at home with the parenting.
Yes.
Now, if it doesn't start at home,
yeah, and shows like this. I'm sorry, Avis. I just wanted to point out, Steve, the fact that you have us on is just another way, because now your listeners have been made aware that there is a situation in our nation. And so now they'll have an opportunity to look it up for themselves, figure out what's going on, and have those conversations with their children about, you know, being aware. And something we didn't mention was social media. Social media is a huge way traffickers are gaining access to our children. And so, you know, parents just begin to educate your children, get apps, get information on your phones and their tablets, and know who they're talking to, know who their friends are. Don't just drop them off. Don't just let them go to a modeling appointment. Know who those people are, so that when when you show up with them, you know that whether it was real or not. And so just, you know, being aggressive in your children's lives is very, very key. And so I thank you for having us on and allowing me to be able to share about, you know, our services and what we do.
No problem. I thank you guys for coming on. One question I want to ask to both of you. Avis, you're in the sports world, and Tera, you're doing what you're doing. Avis and Tera, have you contacted athletes and celebrities in regards to what you guys are trying to do? And if you have they responded? What are they doing?
Well, that's why I'm grateful for our partnership, because I don't, you know, we're just a small nonprofit. And so we don't have access to celebrities or athletes. And so our partnership with Avis, I believe, is groundbreaking and will give us kind of that bandwidth as we move forward to be able to have access to celebrities or to athletes, you know, for this tournament, which is on Monday, November the 5th. And so we're looking for golfers. Our goal is 100 golfers, and we're looking for sponsors. And so, you know, it's just another way for people to get involved and to give back. But I believe having Avis on as our special guest with her, you know, golf experience and, you know, and her network, I believe will open those doors for us.
That is great. Now, give us the date again. The classic is in October. Is that correct?
No, it's Monday, November the 5th.
Oh, okay.
It's going to, our shotgun is at 10 a.m. and people will have an opportunity to win $100,000. We just brought on a car dealership that will allow people to, I don't know, Avis, you know, you give me the golf terminology, but if they do a hole-in-one, you know, if they make it in, you know, they have the potential to win a car or a Super Bowl ticket. And so we're making it a fun tournament. And so if people are interested, they can go to our website at www.forgottenchildreninc.org to register their teams or to find out about sponsorship opportunities.
And that's where they can also, anybody listening in, they can make their donations as well.
Absolutely. Well,
it's going to be a fantastic tournament, Steve. You know, anytime you're at any golf tournament, it's always a pleasure just to be on the golf course. And when you're on the golf course, you're meeting such fantastic people, you know. And so as golfers, we're a little different breed. And so the camaraderie, the social networking, and just being out there for a day of fun and enjoying what the host has to offer. So I'm really looking forward to being Miss Tera's guest speaker, and we're going to have a dynamite golf tournament. So come on out and just have some fun. Sign up and register today.
Now, one of the last questions, Avis, you got a second book. You're working on a second book right now?
Yes, we are. We are working on the outline for our second book. In the first book, we talked about my golf history and my accomplishments our readers will get a firsthand look at the interpersonal side of Avis, the trials, the tribulations, the battles, financial, social, and physical aspects behind becoming a champion in life.
Right.
And I'm so excited about sharing that second book because it will definitely give the reader more detailed information on who I am as a champion. And I just like to thank Ray Toronto, who was the publisher for Eastern Shore Golf Magazine. He just recently featured me in his September-October magazine. It's absolutely a beautiful story, folks. So check it out, Eastern Shore Golf Magazine. It's an honor and a pleasure to be able to share my story with the world, but more so than anything, to let the youth know that they too can be successful in whatever they set their mind to. And again, never give up, never ever give up. Believe in yourself. If you have a dream, fulfill that dream, and you too will become a champion in life. So yes, we're really excited about the second book. And our team is also working on the screenplay for our movie, Steve.
That's what's going by. Ask you about that. What, are you still in the writing mode, or when do you plan on going into production?
Well, we are still in the writing mode, and it's going to take some time because my father, the legendary Gordon Brown, is the root of the successful, dynamic, prominent golfing family known as the Brown family. So there's a lot of information that we'll need to capture. We're going to go back to Charleston, South Carolina, where he started his passion in learning the game of golf when he was a young kid on James Island. And so, if you take that story from Charleston across the country into San Diego, and to hear about our success of winning over 365 trophies amongst 4 kids, that it speaks volume. So we've got a lot of writing to do, and I can share with your audience that it's one of those unknown stories that need to be told, and it's going to be a dynamic movie, and we're looking forward to it.
Now, do you have right now any actors and actresses you looking to involve in the movie, or are you just going to play yourself?
Well, that's a good question, Steve. No, the production company, I'm sure they'll find the right actor and actresses to play the right part. But I can share with you that there are a lot of dynamic little girl golfers out there that I have my eyes on that I would love to have play that part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
One final question for the both of you, and I thank you very much for coming on the show on a very special topic. And this is regarding tennis. And I don't know if you guys are tennis fans, but I'm going to bring this up because I want your opinion, being women. The recent U.S. Open tournament here in New York. I want to talk about Serena Williams. For those that do not know, she lost this match, the finals, to a 20-year-old who was her idol. Her attitude was lousy, and she's always been a sore loser. My question is, though, she's had a difficult year, mainly because, in my opinion, that she gave birth last year to her daughter, probably around October, November. My question to both of you ladies are, I personally felt that she came back too soon. I felt that as an athlete, a woman and an athlete, you give birth last year. I personally felt that she should have took the whole year off because she had a difficult year coming back, even though her last 2 tournaments, two Grand Slam tournaments. She went to the finals, but did not perform well. And I think it physically, I felt that she was still out of shape. And Avis, as a golfer, and we talked about this from when you were on the show in February about the physicalities of being a golfer and what it takes, and especially a woman golfer. Do you feel that she came back too soon, or do you feel that s- what I feel that she should have took a year off? What is your opinion?
Well, as a professional athlete, Steve, uh, everybody knows their strengths.
Mhm.
Everybody knows their weaknesses. Everybody knows their capabilities. In her case, she might have felt that she was ready to come back and perform under competition.
Mhm.
And I'm not one to judge, but
Mhm.
speaking from a professional standpoint,
Mhm.
and this is as a golfer, if
Yes.
I just gave birth, and I know that I need to take some time off. I need to not only spend time with my newborn
Mhm.
and to be able to position myself to be there as a mother, to nurture, and then not only that, to allow my body to heal. And not only my body, but my mental aspect. The body needs to rest. So we know that. And so if I were to put myself in her shoes,
Yes.
I would have given myself time to gather my thoughts, let the body rest. You know, giving birth is tough, and we all know that as women. And so
Yes,
Mhm.
it takes
Lord.
yeah, it takes time. It takes time to heal. Now you may think that you're ready, but mentally, and as an athlete, it's all mental capacity. So are you mentally ready, or are you just, are you physically fit? Are you ready to get back out there and to, run up and down the tennis court, or to walk 18 holes, or, to run around the track? It's all systematic, but that's an individual's
Tara,
personal.
Do you agree with that?
Oh, I agree with Avis 100%. I have 5 children, and trust me, each one was worse than the other. And so, but but I'm just, and I'm laughing because, with your question, I will say this much, as women, or our we are mentally and emotionally strong, and I don't know Serena personally, but I will tell you this much. She has had a awesome career,
Mhm.
and sometimes in your mind, when her mind had jumped back to her career, but her body was saying, no, we're a little different now, because childbirth actually brings trauma to the body. And
Mhm.
so no matter who you are, I don't care if you are a tennis player versus just a stay-at-home mom. Avis said it. I mean, I put the nail on the head that you have to give your body time to rest. And so, but Serena did what we all do as women. You're ready to jump back and get back to where you were. And oftentimes, you don't take under consideration the trauma that your body has been through. Is that why she had, the type of year she had? I don't know. I'm like Avis, it's not for me to judge, but as my sister, I
Mhm.
can tell you one thing, that, being a mom
Mhm.
is a lot of responsibility, and she has to now balance motherhood,
Mhm.
with being an athlete. And it doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how many team members you have trying to help you juggle it all. There is nothing like the cry and the heartbeat of that baby, and it brings conflict to your life to have to, do I go back to work? Do I stay home with this
Yeah.
baby? That's
Yeah.
a lot and I can only imagine, as she's out there on that court and she's playing and she's thinking about the baby. Did I leave the breast milk? Did I do this? Oh
Yeah.
gosh, did I tell the sitter? I mean, and so yeah, you're gonna miss a couple of shots because you're trying to figure out, did I empty the diaper genie before I left? You know what I mean? And so, just having to
Right.
juggle all of that just in a normal everyday life is a lot. And so I just tip my hat to her. just for even having the wherewithal to just go back and, and hit the court. I mean, the girl looks phenomenal,
Yes.
and so I tip my hat to her, and so maybe this experience will give her an opportunity to take the rest that Avis needed to kind of regroup and get her body and her mind in perfect alignment so that she can have a better season when she comes out the next time.
Good.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very well said, Miss Tera.
Good, because you just took me off the hook. Sauce Nation, I knew when I was talking about being a man, they probably figured, what he know about giving babies? How do you know about that? You two just confirmed it. I thank you very much. I do know what I'm talking about, being a man. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Steve.
On that note, ladies, I want to thank you both for coming on the show. Once again, Tera, please give the information in terms of the website and where people can go to check out what we talked about and where to give donations.
Absolutely. Thank you. They can go to www.forgottenchildreninc.org. Make sure you put in an INC. .org. For anyone interested in sponsorship for the golf tournament, the information is there. If you just want to give a donation just to continue to help support the work, you could do that as well. People can also contact me directly at 310-871-6594. That number again is 310-871-6594. I would love to help parents, anyone that's listening. Maybe your daughter has been trafficked or maybe you suspect she's being trafficked. Our goal is to help you identify those issues and maybe connect you with organizations within your state because we do have resources state to state. And so feel free to reach out to us if you need help in any kind of way. And I just appreciate the opportunity. And I hope to see golfers Monday, November the 5th, so that they can, try to win $100,000. Or that car, or the Super Bowl ticket.
Super Bowl tickets, I may be getting involved in that one. Yeah.
Come on out, Steve. Come on out. Come on, Steve. When you come to California now, you're not going back to New York because we don't have no floods and rains and snow and sleet.
Oh, who you telling? I'm getting tired of this. 5 straight days of rain. I'm getting tired of this nonsense now,
Oh, so we're not going to tell you it's 90 degrees here in Southern California.
Oh, you're hurting my heart. Oh, my God. But, I want to thank the both of you, Avis. Always a pleasure to have you back on the show. And Tera, the invitation is open to you as well.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Steve. And for those listeners, if you're interested in purchasing my amazing journey, the book is called Building of a Champion, How I Became a Champion in Life, the Avis Brown Riley Story. If you're interested in having the Avis Brown Golf Extravaganza at your golf course, feel free to reach out to me at avisbrown82@gmail.com.
Excellent.
Thank you so much, Steve. It truly has been another pleasure, and I'm honored to be on your show, as always.
It's an honor to have you both.
Steve.
No problem. Yes. As I said, you guys are welcome back anytime. Now, on that note, I want to thank you very much for coming on. You guys take care. We'll definitely talk down the road. Take care, and God bless.
Likewise. Thank you, Steve.
All right.
Thank you, Tera. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Avis. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.
All
Bye-bye.
right. All right. Source Nation, Avis Brown Riley, professional golfer. Tera Hilliard, the president and CEO of Forgotten Children Incorporated. Ladies, I hope you were listening in. This is a very serious subject matter. And I hope we addressed it thoroughly. We will give you the information on the website and everything. You can catch it on my Facebook page. We'll also catch it on Avis's Facebook page, and we'll get it out to you. but I thank them both. It's a very serious matter. I'm glad that they came on to address it. So, on that note, I will talk to you guys next week. And as I always say, be good and be safe. Take care, everybody.
Get at me for beats, yo.